The volumes of cubes and makes the assertion that the differences is equivalent to the following expression. Which statement best describes the assertion Mary made about the differences between the volumes of the two cubes? So first of all, how do you figure out the volume of a cube? Anybody remember? Length times width times height. See how they gave us a length, a width, and a height? So what is Q times Q times Q? And then what is P times P times P? And then circle the word difference. So we have the differences of their volumes. This is what I want my final answer to be. I want it to be Q cubed minus P cubed. Okay, next thing, I want you with your partner to take this and I want you to FOIL it out and combine like terms and see, do we end up with this expression? Who? Yes. Okay, do that right now, please. I'll do it at the same time with your partner. Please go ahead right now and factor this out and combine like terms. So I took the Q and I distributed to the three terms of the second parenthesis. Now I'm taking the negative P and I'm going to distribute it to the three terms in the second parenthesis. Again, this portion came when I distributed the Q to the three terms of the second parenthesis, and this came when I distributed the negative P. Now let's combine like terms. So I'm looking for Q cubed. There's no others, it's my only one. I'm looking for Q squared P. I have positive 1 and there's a negative 1. They cancel out. I'm looking for QP squared. I have a positive 1, there's a negative 1, they cancel out. And there's no other P cubed. It's a subtract P cubed. So my question is, was her assertion correct? Was she right that this is equivalent to the difference of the two cubes? Yes, so let's look down below. So Mary's assertion again, was it incorrect or correct? Which one was she? Was she right or wrong? She was correct, so let's cancel out A and B. So Mary's assertion is correct since this is equivalent to the expression Q cubed minus P cubed. Correct answer is C. Flip to the next page, please. That's one of the exact problems that was provided on the AZ Merit review. Whenever they ask for an x coordinate, underneath this I want you to write real solution. Good morning. Grab a paper and back, please, and calculator. Whenever they ask for x coordinate, you have to know they're talking about what we refer to as a coordinate plane. And our coordinate planes are real, so x and y. It's what you're used to looking at, okay? So if you have an answer that has an I, they're not looking for that. They're looking when it says x coordinate for only the real solution. So there's a couple ways we can do this. I'm going to go over the long way, and then we're going to go over the quick way. I'd like you to do both with me, and then you're going to talk to your partner to make sure you understand. Let's go the long way first. I want you to factor this. Remember, this is 1, 1, 1, x, minus 2, 2, 2. With your partner, you have 40 seconds to factor. You are talking the entire time. Go. Once again, please make sure you're talking the entire time to your partner. Are you staying, Coralie? Okay. Would anybody in this class classroom, just a quick hand raise. Would anybody like me to review really quick how do we come up with this answer factored? Okay, are you ready? So I'm taking, I know there's a 1 out front. That means 1, 1, 1. X, 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 bring down the subtraction sign into 2, 2, 2. I take one of the 1s, one of the X's, that goes in the first blank. 2 goes in the second, and whatever the sign is goes right here. This is always positive for every problem. This sign is going to be the opposite of what's in the first position. Okay, I have 2 X's left over. That's X squared. And I know 1 times 1, you can definitely put a 1 here. And I have 2 2's left over. 2 times 2 is 4. How do we get this number? We multiply 2 times X is 2X. And if you're thinking, like a lot of kids would, well, why isn't there a minus 2X? Remember, this sign is determined by being opposite of what you see right here. Okay, you ready? We're going to take each one of these and we're going to set it equal to 0. So please write X minus 2 equals 0. And X squared plus 2X plus 4 equals 0. Now I'm going to speed up the process, okay guys? Real quick, what number? Subtract 2 equals 0. 2. I know one answer is 2. It says what is the x coordinate of the 0? If it's a 0, that means it's an x-intercept. So underneath real solution, write x-intercept. So if I told you that 2 was an x-intercept, how do I write the ordered pair? It's an x-intercept. 2, 0. This is one answer. Do you know two numbers that multiply to get 4 and add or subtract to give you a positive 2? Like 1 and 4 multiply to give you 4, but do they somehow give you 2? 2 times 2 give you 4, but do they somehow give you 2 then? Okay, I will tell you, please highlight this portion. This portion right here is never going to be factorable. It's never factorable. So what I'm going to try to do right now is I'm going to teach you a shortcut. Here's the shortcut. Grab your calculator and do second plus 712. We're going to see, is it an answer that's real? If it's a real answer, it cuts through the x-axis. Okay, here we go. You ready? You're typing it in with me. X squared plus 2x plus 4. Once you're done, hit graph. And our question is, does this ever cross the x-axis? So what that means is if you plug it into the quadratic formula, you're going to get answers, but it's going to be I answers. So there's no real solution. Underneath, I'm going to write no real solution to this part. So when asked above, what are the x coordinate or coordinates, there's only one. There's only one real solution. Now that was kind of like the slow way of doing this. We're going to do it the quicker way now. Please do second plus 712. We're going to plug in the original problem. So your calculator may be set up just slightly different than mine. Parentheses, x caret 3. In parentheses, remember. Subtract 8. When you're done, hit graph. This will give you only the real solutions. Can everybody see where it crosses at 2? Okay? And if you're like, hey, I don't want to do this whole work with trying to factor and then solving, how can we figure out this exact answer? Please do second, trace, 0. So we need to come in from the left-hand side. In this case, the left-hand side is somewhere below. So I'm going to use the cursor. I'm going to go somewhere below the x-axis. I'm going to press enter one time. Now the directions say right bound. That means right of the x-intercept. So in this case, somewhere above, press enter. Come back as close as you can to being right on top of the x-axis. Press enter, and there's your answer, 2, 0. Okay? So this is my only answer right in this position. Can you please turn to your partner? You have 30 seconds to do two things. Actually, I'm going to give you a full minute, 30 seconds. One of you chooses to explain this problem and understand it. One of you chooses to explain this problem. You are being rated on how well you talk together and work together. Ready? Go. 1 minute.
So basically what you're doing is you want to find the difference. So you want to subtract and so it's not that you want to take the right. And so you take that and this is for you. So it's going to be whatever you get from here and subtract it. So when you FOIL it, you just log into it.
didn't really catch it, but we'll count it. It's as good as Felix can do. So, okay, here we go. And he says he's playing baseball. All right, next one. You ready? The equation of the function is given. What are the x coordinates? So right away, circle this. These are only real answers. They're real solutions. And it's going to be the x-intercept. So let's go over two ways to do this so that you have two options, and whatever one you understand best, you can do. When I say split up, what I mean is, can you break down 25 into what two numbers? Can you break down x squared? Can you break down 16? And because it's subtraction, we can make this into 5x plus 4 and 5x minus 4 equals 0. By setting it equal to 0, we're finding the x-intercepts. So the slow way, which in some ways for some people who are quicker to do math like this than to use a calculator, the slow way is to go 5x plus 4, set it equal to 0 and solve. 5x minus 4, set it equal to 0 and solve. And some of you can just do that in your head. Like, how do I get rid of the 4? Minus 4. How then do you get rid of the 5? So one answer is x equals negative 4/5. I write it like this in terms of the x coordinates of the zeros. The other answer is going to be add 4 and then divide by 5. That's one option. If you're wondering, how do I know if they're real? Remember, real solutions have no i's. Please do second plus 712. Let's go over an alternative method to doing this. Go to y equals, type in 25x squared minus 16. Then hit graph. Do you see where it crosses in two places? Okay, so I personally kind of want to zoom in on this a little bit. Like, there's all this extra space here. Let's go to Windows. I can see it's really close to 0. Let's go to Windows, and we don't need to go all the way out to negative 10. Let's try like negative 4 to positive 4, and then graph it. Okay, you ready? So we're going to find the zeros. This is an alternative method to gain the same answers. Second, trace 0. So let's start with this one. We need to be left of this x-intercept. Would left, in this case, be above or below? Above. So I'm going to use the cursor until I see. There it is. I got to go above it somewhere, and I press enter one time. The directions now say right bound. So for this x-intercept, we're going to go below the x-axis, press enter, and then come back and get as close as we can. Negative 0.8. Let's write it down, and we're going to come back and ensure, using a calculator, that that is equal to this fraction. Let's do the next one. Actually, with your partner for practice, you're going to do this one, but as a reminder, when we say left bound, in this case, is that above or below? Okay, so with your partner, please find this 0 using a calculator. And for those that would maybe be confused on the test, are they equivalent? Remember, we can always take and we can plug in something like 0.8 to our calculator, hit math fraction, enter, enter, and we can see that it is the same as the fractions 4/5 and negative 4/5. So if this is one of your answers, or maybe you don't have to put it in or as an ordered pair, you can leave it just as x equals the exact number. It doesn't matter whether you leave it as a decimal or you leave it as a fraction. Okay, moving on right now to 18 and 19. The question is the exact same, so I'd like one of you to read it, and then I want you to ask yourselves, what are they asking you to do? Go ahead. So there may be more than one x coordinate, but they're saying you only have to list one. So I'm going to stop you for a second, because to me that sometimes can be confusing. If this problem would have said list the x coordinate, and there happened to be more than one, we had two of them, right? Whether you chose to put 0.8 and your partner wrote negative 0.8, you both would get credit, because it's saying just list one of them if there's more. So you could do this by factoring, but I think this is definitely faster to do on a calculator. So let's do that together. Let's go second plus 712. Go to y equals x caret key 4, subtract 18x squared plus 81. How many x coordinates do we actually have? If this said list all of them, how many x coordinates would there be? 2, because there's 2 zeros, there's 2 roots. Okay, but you only have to list one of them. So how do we figure that out? By the way, what does it look like the answer is? 3 and negative 3. So we could do it like this, just watch me first. You could go second trace 0, just watching please. And I'm going to come over to this one. Okay, and I'm going to go left of the lowest point, right of the lowest point, and right there. And I can see one of the answers is negative 3. But I personally, to try to save time, will go, wow, that looks like it's really close to negative 3 and positive 3. Let's test that. With me, please go second trace, value, type in negative 3. This proves that negative 3 is the x coordinate of the 0. So one answer, can you come up here, write an ordered pair of negative 3, 0. We just happen to be lucky that the answers are not decimals, they fall directly on intercepts. Again, this one looks like a positive 3, so let's go second trace, value positive 3, and we are confirming the other answer is positive 3, 0. So although we have 2 answers, it says I only have to list one of them. So how would I list this? Don't write it as an ordered pair because it says what is the x coordinate. So you could put an answer of 3 or an answer of negative 3. So if you did just 3, how would you write this? By the way, just so you know, my understanding of this is the block type you use when you're putting in answers for AZM Merit, is that you can either left bound them, putting the answer here, or right bound them, but just don't put it directly in the center. So don't start like, I'm going to say the answer is 3, okay? We're either going to say the answer is 3 and bubble in 3, or if you chose to say negative 3, okay, is there a negative sign here? There happens to not be, right? Well, there would have to be if this was an option. There would have to be a negative sign available. But otherwise, we'd have to do a negative 3 as an option, okay? So these would be your 2 options. With your partner, you're going to do 19 the same time I'm doing it. Working with your partner, ready, get set, and begin. Bless you. I came up with answers of negative 0.80 and 1.50. Would anybody like me to go over the calculator how to get these answers? Quick hand raise if you would. Okay, so which one do I have to put in place? Does it matter? Doesn't matter. I just need to choose one of these. Only one, and it has to be just the x coordinates. Okay, go down to the bottom. Bless you. You are going to use process of elimination. You're going to work with your partner and decide which one of these, after you've factored all out, would be equivalent to this expression. You have 2 minutes working with your partner. Ready, begin.